World War II is a global war that lasted from 1939 to 1945 and was a fight between most of the world's nations. This war impacted the United States socially, economically, and leads way to tough decisions for U.S. leaders to make when problems arise. Jumping into World War II, Germany falls under control of Adolf Hitler, a socialist leader who takes extreme measures to create an enlightened elite. In this elite, he controls a powerful army, the Nazis, who promise to help bring recovery to Germany. In the eyes of many countries, including America, Hitler's actions begin to spark problems in the world's eyes. Hitler's powers become increasingly uncontrollable, and many scholars agree put Europe in extreme jeopardy. With the new rules and laws implemented, the Nazi Party wreaks havoc on many communities. The Jewish population is the most well known case. These actions grab the attention of many countries, including the United States, and it is important for you understanding one of the reasons the United States gets involved in the war. Joseph Goebbels' diary puts us into the minds of the enemy of America and most of the world's nations. Hitler to the Nazi was seen as a perfect figure, with every action he took seemed perfect in their eyes. On many occasions, these diaries and eyewitness accounts would doubt some of the action Hitler takes, but they seem to be brainwashed into thinking that it's all good for the people of Germany. These diary entries and eyewitness accounts show that the danger that the United States was in if the Nazi Party was to dominate the world and the people living in it. The fear from America was if Hitler was capable of brainwashing the people and destroying democracy without question, it is not impossible that Hitler's party can grow too big and become out of control. The President of the United States at the time was President Roosevelt. Roosevelt had his hands full during his presidency with the increasing hostility from Hitler's party in dealing with the Great Depression. The president wanted to be in a limited war alongside with Britain to try and focus on fixing the United States economy and not trying to jump into war. With his limited war approach, the plan was to only use the United States Navy and Air Force powers. While he knew the United States would eventually have to take action in the war, practicing this limited warfare approach attempted to help the country's poor economic state. It was not until Roosevelt drafted the Lend-Lease Act until the U.S. economy got back onto their feet. President Roosevelt created the Lend-Lease Act to help trading interactions with countries Roosevelt felt were in good use in the defense of the United States. Not only did this help the United States stay neutral, but it was also boosted the economy. This created many jobs for people, including women and blacks in the United States, giving them a source of money while also putting themselves out of the Great Depression. The trading system was comprised of three main structures, which included no payment required for destroyed property, the property may be stored in the allied country until the U.S. asks for it back, and all lessees must give the United States support and information on war events. Overall, this trade agreement boosted the economy while keeping America out of the war. It was not until the bombing of Pearl Harbor that the United States got fully committed into fighting in the war. This attack forged two sides of the fight, the Allies and the Axis powers. The Allies consisted of mainly Great Britain, France, the United States, China, and the Soviet Union. This group saw the destructive power of Hitler, and the Allied powers wanted to put a stop to it. The Axis powers consisted of Germany, Italy, and Japan, who all created a military pact to fight against the Allied powers. The Axis powers had a goal which was intended to drastically reshape the world map, all out of anger after the Treaty of Versailles was made. Each country used their opponent's fears and weakness to take advantage for their own purpose. Before the bombings of Pearl Harbor took place, polling from the Office of War Information showed that 30% of the country, which is roughly 17 million people, were opposed to going to war with Germany. Once the bombing happened, there was a rise in pro-war movements, but a good portion of America still did not like the idea of war. This gave birth to the isolationist movement. The isolationist movement was comprised of many people, which included conservative, business owners, and peace activists. They believed that the United States should not focus on what is happening in war, but focus on repairing America from World War I and the Depression. They believed America should not have to die in this war for peace abroad. They wanted the war to solve itself. While there was opportunity to work in factories and money to be made, the blacks still wanted to help fight in the war. During this time, Jim Crow laws were still being applied in the country, which made the opportunity for a black man to enter the draft nearly impossible. There were countless obstacles placed in their path, which caused frustration when justifying equality of black and white men. There were a select number of black segregated armies that fought in World War II. One of the most famously known were the Tuskegee Airmen. This group is very important to the American society because they successfully trained over 1,000 black pilots to successfully fly in the war and become part of the United States Air Force. This overall helped the integration of the black men into the armed forces. In 1944, Germany tried to give one last offensive push in the war. The United States military, under control of Dwight Eisenhower, fought a long and hard battle which resulted in the highest casualty rate in any battle in World War II for the United States. The sacrifice of men did not go unjustified, with the end of the result beating the remainder of Hitler's army. Eisenhower showed great skills in decision making on behalf of the United States military. He was able to win the Battle of the Bulge, making the United States and the rest of the Allied powers one step away from becoming free from the terrors of the Axis powers. Although this impacted the lives of many American soldiers and families, it was necessary in defeating a dangerous threat to the country. The United States had to make a very big decision on how they were going to get Japan to surrender in the war. They believed that the safest way was to be the first country to drop an atomic bomb. They dropped 2 A-bombs which successfully forced Japan into surrender, but they were responsible in killing many innocent lives. At the same time, no more American troops got killed in the process. The United States had to make a very long and hard decision, which resulted in the favor of the United States. On one hand, they were able to get one step closer to ending the war with no American deaths. They also were responsible for the total annihilation of 2 main Japanese cities. It is estimated that the United States killed 199,000 people in total between Hiroshima and Nagasaki. When it comes to the impact of World War II, the United States lost many men and left a mark on many places in the world. In the end, there was a huge change economically, socially, and many hard decisions had to be made in order for the United States to obtain victory. The defeat of the Axis powers left America and the rest of the world in a safer place from the hostile extremists and nations. This war was able to pull the United States out of the Great Depression by supplying jobs for the citizens back home. It gave women more rights in the workplace and also helped the blacks get more freedoms. These freedoms helped create what America is today. Without the Second World War, the United States might still be a country of discrimination and be in a massive economic crisis.